All right, I wanted to do another kind of real life meditation. Um, I don't know. I don't think I we had a lot of stuff going on in the pandemic. We had a toddler. We had a whole mold thing in our house, both in the basement and it involved a major demolition that lasted more than a year during the pandemic. So I haven't really revisited my daughter's toys. Um, maybe since she was a like one. I remember doing a big thing in the summer, when she was one and like starting to, you know, interact with things, putting the safety things on, and um, now she's going to be turning 5, so I really need to think about, she definitely has likes and also things I want to encourage her in. So as you can see, the house is just torn up. We had to move some things, and it was almost like, okay, this is the final bit of dredging. And so I'm kind of living with a little bit of chaos, but feeling, like maybe this weekend, maybe a little bit later, it's going to be better than it was. And I think that's sometimes how our mind approach happens during mindfulness meditation, right? So, in some way there's a little bit of bravery that needs to happen, but there's a confidence that that bravery can be based on. You have a sense when you're cleaning that, okay, things are going to look crazy for a while, and it may be like a little bit chaotic, and how much you clean depends on how much, so this is, if you've heard me talk about the mountain analogy with mindfulness, referring to Nicholas Van Dam's article, um, which mountain do you want to climb? How deep do you want to go with doing mindfulness and examining, aspects of oneself, habits that might go a little unexamined. And then when you do, it can make a little bit of a chaos of a sorts, like, oh shoot, I didn't realize that I was being this way, or I didn't realize that, I had, so many thoughts, even something like that. Um, but you can still have this sense that, hey, there's a goodness in me, and so out the other side is going to be something better, right? There's going to be, if I really do, look at these corners in the house where I've just like shoved things or put things into bins or boxes that you don't even go together, but I just wanted to get it clean. So you kind of put it all in there, especially for us, trying to quickly like make spaces available to like removing entire walls with a toddler. So there's a lot of that, and I think there's analogies that happen in our life at certain times where, like, oh my gosh, everything is a bit overwhelming, and you kind of shove things, in a corner and just, okay, this is a coping mechanism, and I have a way of coping with the world. It may not be like the best, but it's going to get me through. And so you never have that feeling of um, oh, I'm so terrible, or I was being so terrible. No, you were doing probably what felt like it was going to get you through the moment. And at times it might have caused harm to yourself or others. But it doesn't make like you unworthy. Like as long as one keeps on, working where one's at, and trying to stay in that growth zone, um, and not the super chaos zone. Like sometimes the growth zone is going to involve a bit of chaos. And if I had done this type of cleaning while the mold restoration was going on, or during, pandemic, when I was trying to work and have a kid at home, yeah, that would have been chaos zone. But now I know that I can handle this amount. I know that there's, it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be completely burned out and overwhelmed by this. I can see that it can be manageable. Like I have enough energy to do it. I have, time, oodles of it, but I can see where, like, okay, the major things have been taken care of. So now I can use the time I would have been dealing with some of those major things, and deal with some of the loose ends, the back burner things. And that's sometimes how our mind is too, right? We have back burner things, and we can decide, if we do longer meditation sessions, if we do maybe even like a weekend retreat or something like that, we might be able to deal with some of the back burner things, but maybe otherwise we're kind of dealing day to day. And, maybe something will come up. Maybe we decide to see a therapist. Maybe we decide to just kind of work with our minds. It just depends on, those zones that, and you can try to compassionately and with discernment decide, where can I be in a growth zone. And so we can sit right now, do a 5-point check into our energy, both short term and maybe medium term. Where are we at, both in terms of today and mental, physical energy? What are we dealing with in our thought and emotion space? And how can this session help meet us where we're at? In a gentle way, kind of leading to a growth zone within the particular strength that you have today, or in the kind of relative near future, right? And then just finding the breath, dropping that contemplation, and just placing one's attention on the breath, and if it moves from the breath, gently returning. And then one can either keep going for a while if you're feeling like you want to do a session, and when you want to end, or if you're ending now, just kind of gathering one's attention again, checking to feel one's energy and mental energy status, physical status, and making an aspiration for the rest of the day, maybe even for the near and medium term future, in terms of doing mindfulness or yoga practices or anything related to one's health. Ending with a wish and gratitude that took the time, and wishing that one's own life and people around us can benefit from us kind of changing the culture a bit, working on that balance. Thank you.